Okay, so I haven't experienced any of these stories. I got all the stories from 2 of my cousins and my sister, but the 2 stories link together. First story is from my cousin. Let's call her Amy. One night, she was sleeping over at my grandmother's house and was woken up from something alerting her. Apparently, it was a noise from downstairs. Being curious, but also ready to hit any intruder, she headed downstairs and in the living room saw our dead great-grandmother. We haven't ever met her, but we know what she looked like because of the photo albums we were shown multiple times growing up. Amy told me about it the next day since I was coming to visit. I only lived 4 hours away at the time. We have been keeping it a secret for a while now. I don't think she got much sleep for the next couple of days Amy had stayed there. The next story is from my other cousin. Let's call him Ben. And it links into the first story. So similar things happened again. He heard a noise from downstairs and he was younger than Amy when she had it happened. He wasn't as cautious, but he headed downstairs. That's when he saw our great-grandmother. He didn't know it was her since he never saw her photos as much as me and Amy did. He ended up staying awake that night because he was scared. He kept it a secret for a while, but he did end up telling Amy, who told me. When he told us what he saw, we pieced it together that it was our great-grandmother from the description he gave Amy. I don't think anyone else in the family has experienced this, since my grandmother only moved in there a few years before our great-grandmother's death. So all my aunt and uncles already moved out and us kids nearly ever stayed the night. We haven't told anyone either. Our grandmother has since moved from that house as well. Story number 3. This is the last story, and it's my sister's. Let's call her Kim. This was in my old house. At the time, my mom, sister, and me lived in the house. We moved there to be closer to the family. We were about to move again to the house we're currently in, so we were taking pictures of our house so we could sell it. And my sister took up the job of taking pictures of our connected dining room and living room. In the house, the fridge was in the dining room because there wasn't enough room in the kitchen. She finished the pictures of the living room and had only one picture to go for the dining room. The last picture was of the fridge to the left back door in the middle, and you could see some of the dining table to the right. She took the photo, but didn't check it fully since it was late and really dark outside. The next day, my mom was posting the photos, but saw something strange. It looked like there were people in the picture, but when the picture was taken, no one was in the way of the photo in the picture, and the people were faded like how you would expect ghosts to be. Anyway, there was 3 people in the picture. A young boy, probably around 12, a woman who looked around late 20s to early 30s, and a man who looked around late 30s to early 40s. They also were dressed weird, like they were dressed to fit in with the Victorian-style clothes. The man stood in front of the fridge. The fridge was sideways on the photo, so he was stood next to the fridge. But to the photo, it was in front. The lady and the boy was outside looking into the house through the back door. They looked sad, as if they were locked out or something. My mom nor my sister remembers this since it happened a while ago. I don't know if you can take pictures of ghosts, but I am just typing what I've heard. I would really like to know if these stories could possibly be true, because I'm really interested in to know. But that's all I have to say. Bye. I just happened to stumble upon this subreddit and figured I'd go ahead and share my story. Now, I guess I should flat out say that I'm not fully sold on the whole ghost thing, but that doesn't mean I can explain any of the story I'm about to tell you. So yeah. Anyway, it was summer of 2005, and I was about to enter high school, having just turned 14, and now having access to the internet at home. I spent a lot of summer staying up late at night. I used to go to bed around 10 p.m.-ish, but now it was different. 12 a.m., 1 a.m., and sometimes even 2. My parents didn't care, as long as I didn't do anything too crazy. So I mostly spent the time playing games and talking to friends online. I never really thought much about it at the time, but every once in a while I would get up late and I'd randomly spook myself. I guess it was just a weird feeling of being up alone so late. Nothing never really came of that, nor did I expect it to. But then one night things changed. Around 2:30-ish a.m., I remember looking to my left at my doorway and seeing what looked like a beam of light sidestep out of my sight. As soon as I saw this, I'll admit that I freaked, and I ran and pulled the covers from my bed over my head. I actually ended up sleeping in the living room that night because my room just freaked me out. I remember friends asking why I vanished that night, but I felt stupid telling them. Obviously, I was just tired and seeing things, so I kept it a secret. Nothing else happened to me for quite a while. I didn't tell anyone about what happened, but I started hearing whispers around the house. No, not ghosts. My parents. They began talking to each other when they assumed I couldn't hear. The things I heard them say completely caught me off guard. It wasn't until years later that they were willing to tell me, but apparently around the time they too were seeing and hearing strange things. One night my dad walked into my room and gave me a funny look before walking out. According to him, he followed my mom into there, but my mom was nowhere to be seen. She was actually in their room, sound asleep. My dad told my mom this story assuming I couldn't hear, but I was listening. I also found out about the neighbors seeing a lady sitting out under our front yard tree. I heard about stories of strange sounds and things going missing. Eventually, I too told my parents that I saw what I had saw that night, which is when they came clean with me. After that, over the next 10 to 15 years, things continued to be just a bit weird. One night I watched my doorknob turn and let our dog into my room. It explained how she kept getting in when we were gone. Things continued to go missing, only to reappear in odd places. Around Christmas, music boxes would play on their own. I believe I recorded it happening on my old phone. Another time, the fan started moving slowly on its own as a dark shadow crossed it. I actually recorded this using my PS Vita. Things just continued to happen and still continue to this day. I'm gonna go ahead and insert that video from his PS here. We came to call this thing Elsie, the lady who used to live in the house. But this is the only fraction of the things that were to come. While I never did see her again personally, that doesn't mean others hadn't. That's a story for another time though. I'm at work and now my break is over, so I'll update this post in the future. Thanks for taking the time to read this. Update. After the whole music box and ceiling fan things kind of went quiet for a while. There was one night when my cousin was over and my closet door flew open on its own, but that could have been something that just fell and knocked it. It really wasn't until the Christmas of 2019 that something would happen to me again. Still living at home at the time, I was once again up late at night playing a game and talking to some friends online. This wasn't unusual for me at all, but typically I'd go to bed before 2:30. That night, however, I was wrapped up in a story of my new game, and I lost track of time. So I went to go to bed, and as I was about to turn the light off, I felt something hit the back of my leg. Shocked the heck out of me, because I wasn't expecting it. But what's weird was what it was. It seemed to be the broken wheel off one of my old desk chairs I got rid of. Confused as heck and freaked out, both at the same time, I took some pictures of it to prove I wasn't crazy, and instantly sent them to my friend I had been talking to. I have no idea where it came from or how it hit the back of my leg. Chair had been gone for at least 5 to 6 years at that point, inserting a picture of where it was laying after it hit me. After this, the things that happened were more just weird and nothing major. The cat sleeps in the basement, for example, with the door locked, and there's been multiple times where he's gotten himself out and jumped on me to wake me up. Could chalk that up to forgetting to put him in the basement, but when you personally double check the night before only to be woken up by that cat, that's just weird. But yeah, the will thing was the last real thing to ever happen to me in that house. Well, besides waking up to what looked like eyes looking at me, but I could have still been just half asleep. My fiancé, on the other hand, we warned her that there were weird things happening in the house, and during one of the first nights she stayed over, she experienced it herself. She was sleeping on the couch one Saturday, and I was in my room. That's when we both were woken up by the front door opening and closing. I instantly assumed it was someone letting the cat outside, and I rolled over and went back to sleep. As for her, well, she sat up from the couch and looked, only to see my mom in a white nightgown standing at the door, just looking out with her hands up against the glass. She thought, "That's weird, what is she doing?" And then she just lied back down and went to sleep. Yeah, my mom doesn't own a white nightgown. And then, nor has she ever been told the details of the stories of what had been seen in that house. Just like the time my dad thought my mom walked into my room because he saw the back of her nightgown. Or the random time another cousin of mine claimed she saw a lady in white walk into our kitchen. What she saw matched up exactly with what other people had said they had seen. And yes, my mom never did get up that morning to let the cat out. It wasn't here. Since then, we both moved out of that house, and so far at our new house, nothing strange has happened. My parents still live there, so more could always happen. But for now, that's pretty much everything I can remember, besides smaller things. But yeah. Anyways, thanks again for reading. Hope you guys enjoyed. My other ghost story is one for another time, and a different post, as that one involves a car.